What's up, y'all? Welcome to July 2023. Man, the last few years in the plant industry have just been interesting, to say the least. But anyways, this is Teray. I am the co-owner of Armstrong Aeroids and rare plant enthusiast. And it's been a minute since I put out a video, and so I thought that I would do a little repot with me, and I discovered some really, maybe two really cool things that I want to make sure that I share with you, all of you, so that you can enjoy and take advantage of that. Very similar to the way that I did my moss pull on a budget video. So hang in there with me. What we're going to do is we're going to repot some stuff we've got back here. And I'm going to show you the cool things that I've picked up, and we'll kind of go from there. So very excited for this video, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you do, please like and subscribe. That shares with me the fact that I should do content like this, because it gives me a motivation, whereas as you can see, I haven't been very consistent, and it would help me out with being more consistent. All right, let's check it out. Let's get into it. And obviously, not obviously, but I lost my pin. You know, we have a Galaxy S22 that we do the videos with, and I usually have an S pin that I can stop the video with, and I don't know what to do with it, so I lost it. So when I stop the video, you might see me reach out like this to stop it. All right, y'all, we're back. Hopefully my battery's not going to die. I'm at like 4%, and for whatever reason, the super fast charging is just not super fast. It's not working at all. And I got a little bit of allergies, so if I'm sniffling a little bit, I apologize. We'll kind of work through it. But there's some things that I wanted to show you guys in today's update that, I don't know, I don't even think it's an update, because I'm not updating anything. I'm just sharing and caring. Because sharing and caring is what it's about. Right, so back to what I was saying. The first thing that I think, this was really cool. I don't know if you guys have like a Dollar Tree in your area. I know that some places have Dollar Tree. Other places have the 99-cent store. But I know that I was trying to see if I could find one that was like close at hand. In fact, give me 1 second. I'm going to go grab one real fast. Okay, so I know that nursery pots can be kind of expensive, especially when you start to get into the bigger ones where you've got a larger plant. I'm going to try to not spill this all over myself. But you've got a larger plant like this, and you need to get it into a nursery pot. It's kind of a spoil the goodness there, but that's okay. So usually what will happen is you'll end up buying a nursery pot, and in the United States, or at least in Utah, this particular pot is $2.50. This is a 5.5 inch pot, which is a decent size, but you know, there's a lot of plants that need a bigger pot than 5.5 inches, and $2.50, it's kind of expensive. Plus, it's transparent, so like you can see through there, but it's not clear. You know, I like a nice clear pot where I can see everything that's happening. And so I spent some time trying to figure out what is the best solution for that. And there's a couple things that I've come up with. One, okay, not great. And then the other one, phenomenal, but not easily attainable, depending on where you're at and what the market selection is in your particular area for your Dollar Tree, if you have a Dollar Tree, or if you have a 99-cent store, or somebody that carries something similar. So and I keep having to jump off screen, but I'm not even going to stop at this time. I'm just going to grab it. I'm going to show you one of the options that I found that I think is really cool. I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. All right, so first thing I'm going to show you is this 32 ounce mug. This is by Carrot. You're probably not going to see that, or it's going to be backwards, but really good solution for a plant that needs a little bit larger of a cup. Most of our smaller stuff we'll put in something like this. I don't think this is carrot, but it's very similar. And then if it's a bigger plant, we'll step up to something like this. But if it's something that needs to be just a little bit larger, now this might be just a video about cup sizes or pot sizes, or temporary pot sizes, but a lot of times if you have a plant that's in a pot but it's not in the pot that's the size that you want it to be in, you take that plant that's in this size of pot, and maybe you have a ceramic pot that looks like this and it's just not ready to go into this because you don't want to upsize too fast. You just take that, you set it in there right like that, and boom, now you've got it in the right size pot, but you've also got that aesthetic that you want. Totally not what this was initially intended to be about, but as I've got all this stuff sitting in front of me, it's like, okay, I can see the direction that this video is going. So let's go back to this. We've got our 16 ounce, I believe this is 16 ounces, which is what we use for most of our smaller stuff. Let's grab an example here, like this guy. So we'll do something like this. We'll double cup it, so we've got a nice drainage system, because aeroids, which we typically deal in, like to have a nice drainage system. And then plus, if we have to flush it out for whatever reason, so like I need to hit it with some chemicals, you don't want those chemicals sitting in a pot that has no holes in the bottom of it, which is, I used to be a big fan of no hole pots, but it becomes a hassle to kind of protect the actual root system from getting any of the chemicals that might sit in there over time in the event that you actually have to hit it with chemicals. And so if you've got like a drainage pot where you've got the one cup in the bottom, you've got the cup at the top that's got the holes in it, it gives you the ability to flush it out. You can flush out any of those chemicals so that they don't have a long-term effect on the root system. All right, moving back to what we were talking about. Different options that are available. So this is one that's really cool. You're out there with your significant other, you're at dinner, you can't finish your plate, and you ask for a to-go cup. And they say, yeah, sure, we can get you a to-go cup. And they present you with one of these. Oh ho ho, right? So you take a look at this, and you put it next to this, and let's go this way. It is significantly larger. We're going side to side. So this is, let's see if we can go this way, like this. This is the back, and then you turn it this way. When it comes to not damaging roots and getting something into the size that it needs to be in, that's a pretty big difference. Even in comparison to like the 32 ounce. The 32 ounce, yeah, sure, it's going to be a difference of about like that. I don't know if you can tell the difference between the two, but maybe if we go like that. But then again, you step it up even further to something like this, and that's the difference between breaking a root and not breaking a root sometimes. And so that's kind of a big deal. Plus, it's wider. You get that wider base, so you could actually take this and you can fit it inside of there. Not a whole lot, but when you compare it to that, it's a pretty big difference. So that was the first thing that we noticed, is to-go cups are a good way to go. Now, where am I going to find these? Honestly, if you look on Google and you do takeout cups, you're going to find this in various sizes. This is a 32 ounce cup, so it's really the same size as this. But what you're going to find is that because it's shorter, it's wider. And because it's wider, availability for something that has wider roots. You'll notice that this particular cup does not have any holes in the bottom of it, but that's an easy fix. This is one where the use of a drill, like this guy, not such a good idea. It tends to puncture it and then break it or create cuts instead of doing a nice clean hole. And so what I would recommend is use a mask and be safe, and probably do it in a well ventilated and potentially outside area. But use a soldering iron. The soldering iron does a phenomenal job of just going through and putting the holes in the bottom of it just like what you need. And it's not going to break it. It's not going to cause it to fracture or split. And so it does a really good job. But you want to be safe. You don't want to be breathing in those chemicals. Do it in a very well ventilated area, preferably with a fan, so that you don't have to worry about that. In fact, let's go grab one that's got the holes in it already. I'm pretty sure I've got one down here. So, back again. So right here, we've got one where we've got the holes drilled in, or not drilled, but soldered, or used with soldering iron into the bottom. And the nice thing is the soldering iron, in fact, here, let's look at this. This is my first attempt. Let's see if I can get there. All right, see that right there? When you try and use a drill, that's what happens. But if you use a soldering iron, you get a nice clean puncture, very much like that. Looks really good. It goes right in, makes a nice clean hole, and so you don't have to worry about it. Definitely the way to go. I'd also discovered that maybe sometimes using it and running it around the sides and not just the bottom will give you a little bit better aeration for your roots to be able to take in the air. So that's something I'm going to play around with. But this, this is still a much cheaper alternative to this. Still not quite the size that we want, Excuse me. I'm not going to pause it because it's just going to make a long video. Maybe I'll edit it later or something. So we're not quite where we need to be in terms of width. But this is $2.50 or $2.50. Whereas this, I can't remember what the price was, but I know it's significantly less. And I was able to order a large quantity, and it's a fast process to put the holes in it. And so this gave me a really good medium between this and this. Oh, kind of like, well, that's a kind of a fail, but let's go like this. So you got this, and you got this, and you got this. And so you can there you go. You can see the difference as far as that goes. But that wasn't quite enough. We sometimes get in some really good sized plants. And a good example is the Monstera. If we get a Monstera in, it's got some pretty good leaf size and some pretty good root size, then we might have to go with a little bit larger of a pot. And so it's like, okay, well, what do you do in a circumstance like that? I clearly don't want to spend $6 on a orchid pot that's 8 inches. And so we've got to figure out, okay, well, what's the plan? Well, it's not a lot bigger, but let's look at some alternatives here. You've got this at $2.50, transparent, not clear, but transparent, which is not bad. And then if you can find this, you've got this at $1.25. Put some holes in the bottom of it, and you're at $1.25, and you are super clear. You can see exactly what the roots are doing, and guess what? It's bigger. It's bigger than what the $2.50 is. So you half the price. It's more clear. It's a bigger pot all the way around. Let's back out so you can see it. Let's drop it in there so you can see it. And it's a great deal. And so highly recommend, if you have a Dollar Tree in your area or you can find something like this, to go that route. If you need to go up even larger, I've seen where you could find those clear waste baskets. They're like a larger version of this, and you can do the same thing. Use your soldering iron and go into that clear waste basket and put some holes in it, very much the same way. And they're probably in like the $3.50 range, but still $3.50 versus an $8 nursery pot. Yeah, I'll take that any day. So yeah, that's predominantly the biggest thing that I wanted to share is this finding, which for us allows us to be able to get a Monstera into a really nice sized pot, and then to be able to see exactly what's happening with the roots, or if it's rooting out onto the outer edges. You know, you still get the good draining, still see the bottom of it. Just a great all-around solution. So hopefully y'all will enjoy that. Then again, also takeout cups aren't just for takeout. If you can't finish your food and you take it home and you need to do something about your recycling habits, this is a great alternative. Don't throw your cup out. Use your takeout cup, put some holes in the bottom of it using a soldering iron, and you've got a great nursery pot that is a lot cheaper than the alternative, and so that's a good way to go. Or you just, you know, we're going to do a lot of things, and the transparency on this really isn't that bad. You know, it's definitely not a big difference, but it's clearer than this is. So you got this, and then you got this. So you can see it's actually, it's more clear than that is. But you can buy these in bulk. You can buy these in bulk too, but you're not going to get the deal that you're going to get if you buy these in bulk. So definitely the way to go. All right, so that is really predominantly the biggest thing that I wanted to share with you. The other thing that I learned, well, life lesson. Let's go ahead and let's pull this out. Ouch. So if you happen to get a plant and it got shipped to you, whether it's local, meaning stateside, international, whatever, and it shows up and it's in that weird wonky shape where maybe your leaf is facing up and not down like it should be, let it do its thing. It will settle. It will slowly fold down, because if you try to rush the situation and try to bend that stem, you just might break off your prettiest, most significant double fenestrated leaf on the entire plant. Don't do it. Learn from my mistake. It's not worth it. My heart started racing. I felt panicky. I was super sad. And obviously the plant's going to be fine. No damage done. No harm done. As a reseller, probably lost about $100 in terms of the ability to sell it. Difference with that third leaf versus without it, especially being that that was the largest and most impressive leaf as it was, and the type of plant that it was. But lesson learned. So you get a plant like this one, you know, maybe he's like leaning down, he doesn't want to come up at the angle that he's supposed to. Don't force him. Let him do his thing. Aim it towards the light in a way that's going to cause it to naturally want to move towards the light, and it will. And what's going to happen is it's going to normally find the best way to get what it needs for its photosynthesis. Couldn't think of the word. And it's going to, it will reshape itself. Because if you try to force it, sure, the first 3 leaves, you might get them to go in the shape that you want them to, but then you run the risk of this. I mean, this is a beautiful plant. Don't let this happen to you. All right. Maybe you can make that a thumbnail or something. Let's see. Thumbnail, don't do this. Right. The other thing, just another quick tip that I wanted to share. Kind of learned this the hard way. So we've become very consistent in the shop in terms of how we water, what we water, when we water. Consistency is key. 2 important things. 1, I'll try and put it up here. Do not overwater. It's better to underwater than to overwater. And then 2, use what works best for you. Oftentimes I'll have somebody come in and say, oh wow, I see you guys use LECA. I want to start to use that. Great. Experiment with it, try it, but don't put all your plants in it because it might not be the best way for you to go. We've learned that even small variations in the way that you have your soil mix will change in terms of the needs of water that your plant will have. And so one thing that we had done, you know, just almost in not even realizing it, is we get a plant, we bring it in, it'd be a stateside plant, it'd come to us in soil, and it wouldn't be in necessarily the best soil, it wouldn't be in the aeroid mix that it should be in, it'd be in more something like this, which is, you know, it's not bad soil, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not what we use. And so we would get that, and then we'd go through our regular routine of watering all of our plants, and we'd find that that particular plant that was in that particular soil that was not our soil, it dried out a lot faster for whatever reason. Probably because we have a higher amount of perlite and a cocoa coir, which is not an orchid bark, and so our soilless soil, it retains a lot of moisture. You know, this is going to hold a lot of moisture. And so what happens is those other soils that are more natural or organic or whatever, like a real soil, they dry out faster. And so those plants suffer a little bit more. And so what I've discovered is that if I bring in a plant that's a rare plant, like say, oh, let's see what we got here. We'll just grab this. Say like this guy. You know, you got your dock block crossed with something. I can't even remember what it was crossed with, but you got this guy. And then he comes to you and something like this that's got like this. It's got this type of soil in it instead of this type of soil. What we learned is that this is going to dry out a lot faster. And if you're watering every 2 to 3 days, or if you're going in and you're touching your soil and seeing how it feels, making sure it's not dry, then great, you're not going to have an issue. But if you're somebody that's got a lot of plants, or somebody that's on a set schedule in terms of how you water, then you've got 2 different types of soil going on here. Especially if it's something that dries out faster, this better be a Hoya. Because a Hoya, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be like, you know what, I don't need more water, I'm good. I mean, we can go a week, I can dry out a little bit, no big deal. This guy is going to root rot. And when I say root rot, it's not going to be because we overwatered it. It's going to be because we underwatered it, the roots dried out, and then when we went to try and water it, the roots actually at that point couldn't suck up the water, and so the water just sat in there and it just ruined the root system. That's really what happens with root rot. That's why you can have somebody that can grow their roots purely in water, and these are obviously just growing out, but they'll grow the roots purely in water, the root system will grow out, no big deal, everything's fine, the roots don't rot. Of course the roots don't rot, because that's not what causes roots to rot. Here's a perfect example. This has been growing in water, right? This is a Hoya. Even Hoyas can grow in water as far as their root system goes. Now obviously when you get it all, it's started, it's growing out, you got a nice established root system, better to get it into a good soil. But it's not the fact that it's in water that causes it to rot. It's the fact that it went underwatered, and then you tried to water it to fix the situation, and it didn't take in the water that causes it to rot. So use the soil that you're used to. There's nothing wrong with experimenting. There's nothing wrong with adapting. This is a big difference from where we started. I started with just purely leca. The whole plant would be in just leca. Loved it. Worked great, with the exception of the fact that I would have to water about twice as much. Moving to a mix that was similar to this, I found that I had to water less, but still had to water more than what I wanted. Now with this particular mix, water once a week. It doesn't dry out. Everything's happy. And it works for us. So bottom line, key to that story, use what works for you. That's what's most important. All right, we're just at about 23 minutes, and so I think what I'm going to do, obviously 23 minutes without any editing, we'll see what happens, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop some stuff up, kind of run it in the background, and I'm going to encourage you to do two things. One, like and subscribe. And then two is going to be ask me questions. Throw some questions in the chat. Throw some comments in the chat. What do you want to see next? What do you want to hear next? What intrigues you? How can we make content that's better for you? Let's go that route. Okay. Appreciate you. Hope that was informative. Hope it was helpful. As always, it's fun. This is passionate for us. If you ever stop by the store, Armstrong Airways in Bountiful on 495 South and 100 West, drop in, say hi. Not asking anybody to even buy anything. Just hang out, talk with us, check out the selection. It's really an experience. You'll really enjoy it if you're plant passionate, and just take it in. And then if you happen to grab something, great. If not, that's great too. Thank you. Trey Armstrong. But that's worth it. You know, it'll sell.
Set it for $4.99.